The war was over. After 2 long centuries of fighting, the Xyrath Dominions stood victorious. The humans, those strange, fragile creatures from a small blue planet, were gone. Their cities were piles of ash, their oceans were poison, and their sky no longer blue. The Xyrath had done what no other empire could. They had erased an entire species that had once dared to fight them. On the moon colony Ardent 9, high above the smoking ruins of Earth, a crowd of Xyrath soldiers filled the viewing deck. The glass walls shimmered with reflected fire from the planet below. They watched and they laughed. Captain Rizek Vor, commander of the orbital fleet, raised his crystal cup high. To the end of the human war, he declared. His voice echoed through the deck. To the cleansing of their filth from the stars. The soldiers cheered, lifting their glasses. Outside, lightning flickered in Earth's dying atmosphere, flashing across continents like the last breath of a dying god. "It's beautiful," one of the younger officers whispered. "All that fire, almost poetic." Rizek smiled. "Poetry from vermin. That planet should have burned long ago." The laughter grew louder. Music filled the air, a victory anthem that sounded like thunder mixed with screams. They didn't notice the silence at first. It began small, a flicker in the lights, a pause in the rhythm of their celebration. One of the viewing screens glitched, the image of Earth turning to static. Then another. Then all of them. "Control, report," Rizek barked. No response. The deck lights dimmed. The music stopped. The hum of the engines, constant, comforting, went silent. For the first time in decades, the Xyrath fleet hung motionless in orbit. A low vibration rolled through the floor, deep and heavy, like the growl of something waking up. Rizek turned toward the observation window. What in the void? Outside, the planet was changing. The dark smoke over Earth began to twist and rise, glowing from within. Red veins of light snaked across the continents, pulsing like blood through veins. Then gold streaks cut through the black clouds, spreading faster than any natural storm. The sky itself seemed to catch fire. "What's happening?" one officer shouted. "Is it volcanic? Radiation spike?" The science officer's voice trembled as he read from his console. "Negative. The readings don't match any known reaction. Energy output increasing exponentially." "From what source?" Rizek demanded. The officer hesitated. "The core of the planet, sir. It's coming from inside Earth." A blinding flash erupted. The deck windows polarized automatically, shielding their eyes, but they could still see it. Fire was rising from the planet, tearing through space in golden arcs that split the blackness like lightning bolts made of sunlight. They weren't weapons. They weren't explosions. They looked almost alive. Ships in the outer ring began to lose control, their thrusters stuttering. One after another, the status lights on Rizek's console turned from green to red. "Power systems failing," reported another voice. "Communications down. Shields." Static swallowed the report. Then, faintly, through the static, came a sound no Xyrath expected to hear again. A human voice. Soft, calm, terrifying. "You shouldn't have touched our home." Every Xyrath on the deck froze. The words were clear, spoken in the human tongue, yet somehow cutting through every layer of static and interference. "Who said that?" Rizek growled. "Find a source." "So?" the comms officer whispered, staring at the scanner display. "It came from the planet. From Earth." "That's impossible. The humans are dead." Another flash lit the void, brighter this time, so bright it burned through the window filters. The Xyrath turned away, covering their eyes. When the light faded, Earth no longer looked like a corpse. The planet glowed. Every storm, every cloud, every burned scar on the surface was covered by rivers of molten gold. It was as if the Earth itself was waking up, furious and alive. "Sir," cried the science officer, energy levels rising past critical. "It's—" The deck shook violently. Sirens wailed. The outer defense ships began to fall out of orbit, engines failing one by one. Rizek slammed his fist against the console. "All hands, lockdown. Seal the hangars. Get me fleet control." But there was no fleet control. The command hub on the flagship had gone dark. One by one, Xyrath ships lost contact. Power cores collapsed. Artificial gravity flickered. Soldiers floated helplessly as alarms screamed through the corridors. Then came the fire. A massive beam of golden energy erupted from Earth's surface, cutting through the darkness of space. It wasn't straight. It curved, twisting like a serpent, burning through everything it touched. The Xyrath flagship's hull glowed red-hot as the beam scraped across it. The commander stayed in horror. It's targeting us. But it wasn't targeting anything. It was searching. The voice returned, this time filling every comm channel in the fleet. Every speaker, every helmet, every mind. You burned our cities. You silenced our children. Now hear their echoes. And then, without warning, the beam split, hundreds of smaller streams of fire scattering through orbit, striking ship after ship. Rizek screamed orders, but it was useless. Every command was swallowed by static. Every voice drowned in the roar of living flame. As the deck split open and the vacuum dragged him toward the void, Rizek looked down at the planet one last time. Earth burned, but not with death. It burned with vengeance. With life. The last thing he saw before the darkness took him was a shape rising from the golden storm. Metallic, sharp, and unmistakably human. And then, silence. The signal cut, and the sky cried fire. The flames had faded. Hours after the sky burned, the Xyrath Dominion's fleet drifted silently above Earth. Thousands of ships floated like broken bones in the void, their engines dead, their systems blind. Only static filled the channels now. Commander Rizek Vor's ship was gone, torn apart by the storm of fire that had risen from Earth's surface. His fleet, once proud and unstoppable, was reduced to fragments and silence. On the flagship Sentinel, Admiral Corvizan watched from the command throne. His 4 black eyes reflected the glow of the planet below. Earth no longer looked like the dead world it once was. Its surface shimmered faintly, as if something beneath the crust was still burning. "What happened down there?" the Admiral asked, his voice low and sharp. The bridge crew shifted uneasily. No one wanted to answer. At last, a trembling technician spoke. "So, the energy surge came from within the planet's core. It wasn't a weapon. It was," he swallowed, "it was alive." Core turned slowly toward him. "Alive?" The technician nodded. "Yes, Admiral. The energy's signature, it changed, like it was thinking." The Admiral's mandibles tightened. Nonsense. Planets don't think. But deep down, he wasn't so sure anymore. The storm had ended, yet the Dominion fleet was crippled. Half the ships were unresponsive. Their reactors were fried, their weapons offline. The Admiral ordered every remaining vessel to regroup in high orbit. That's when they detected the object. A lone ship, rising from Earth. At first, they assumed it was debris, some piece of human wreckage thrown into space by the planet's eruption. But then it changed course. It moved with purpose. The scanners struggled to lock on. The readings didn't make sense. The ship's reactor output was old, primitive by Xyrath standards, yet somehow stable. Too stable. "Identify that vessel," Core commanded. A moment later, the sensor officer whispered, "It's human, sir. Model, Raven-class attack frigate. Registration code." He paused. "Raven 01. The bridge went silent. "That ship shouldn't exist," one officer said quietly. "It doesn't," the Admiral replied. "The last Raven was destroyed in the Siege of Titan. Every record confirms it." "Then how?" Before the officer could finish, the comms unit crackled to life. Static filled the air, followed by a faint pulse, a heartbeat. Slow, steady, human. Then a voice. Rough, calm, familiar. "This is Raven 01, broadcasting on open channel. To the Xyrath Dominion, I see you." The entire bridge froze. Admiral Core leaned forward. "Patch it through. I want to speak to whoever that is." The comm screen flickered, showing only a faint shadow, the outline of a figure in a cracked helmet. His voice came again, louder now. "You thought you buried us. You thought fire would end us. But humanity doesn't end that easily. Identify yourself." Core barked. No answer. only the sound of slow breathing through the comms. Then, you should have left Earth alone. The connection cut. For several long seconds, no one moved. The sound of failing systems hummed quietly in the background. Track that ship, Core ordered. The officer tapped at his console. It's accelerating toward us, sir. Speed increasing, beyond what its thrusters should manage. That's impossible. I'm reading power levels off the charts. Reactor output. No, multiple reactors. It's like it's absorbing energy from the planet. Core's mind raced. A single human ship shouldn't scare him. Not after his empire had wiped out billions. Yet something in that voice, something in those last words, had frozen his blood. Ready all weapons, he ordered. If it's human, it dies. The Sentinel's plasma cannons powered up, humming with deep, deadly energy. Across the fleet, other ships followed, dozens of them aiming at the lone dot on their scanners. The Raven kept coming. Faster, closer. Range, 5,000 kilometers, reported the gunner. Target lock achieved. Fire. The black void erupted with light as a storm of plasma bolts shot toward the Raven. The blast struck dead on, engulfing the ship in a sphere of blue fire. The crew cheered, briefly. Then the sensors screamed. The Raven flew straight through the fire. Untouched. Direct hits, no damage, the sensor officer shouted. Shields holding at full capacity. That's not possible. Admiral Core rose from his throne, eyes wide. How? The Raven answered with light. A pulse burst from its hull, silent, invisible to the eye, but every ship in the fleet felt it. Systems shut down. Engines went dark. The Sentinel's lights flickered, the bridge filling with sparks. The Admiral fell to his knees as the gravity failed. Then, through the darkness, the Raven spoke again. You wanted to erase us from history. Now you'll remember us forever. The ship's silhouette grew larger in the viewport. Its hull was battered, ancient, yet there was something terrifyingly alive about it. Its engines glowed with the same gold light that had burned from Earth's core. Core's second-in-command floated toward him. Admiral, we have to retreat. Core stayed at the approaching vessel. Retreat? From one ship. But even he could hear the tremor in his own voice. The Raven passed beneath them, moving toward the heart of the fleet. The Admiral turned to the tactical display. Every ship it flew by went dark, powerless, silent. One by one, the symbols on the screen winked out like dying stars. The comms crackled one last time. A whisper, barely audible. I'm coming for the ones who started it. Then silence. The Raven disappeared into the black void between the stars, leaving only the faint golden glow in its wake. Admiral Core gripped the edge of his command chair, his claws shaking. For the first time in his career, he felt something no Xyrath officer had ever felt before. Fear. He turned to his crew and spoke the words none of them ever expected to hear. Send word to the High Council. The humans aren't gone. The stars were quiet again. Only one ship moved, a lone shadow gliding through the dark. Raven 01. Her black hull was scarred and rusted, covered in bane marks from 100 forgotten battles. Her engines pulsed with a golden light that no human engineer had ever built, a strange new energy flowing through her veins. Inside the ship, a man woke. He gasped as cold air filled his lungs, stumbling out of the cryo chamber. Frost fell from his skin like snow. The name printed on the chamber's glass was faded, but still readable. Captain Elias Ward, United Earth Defense. He sat up slowly, coughing, his breath shaking. The chamber lights flickered on. For a moment, he didn't move. He just stared at the small metal room, silent except for the hum of the ship. Computer, he croaked. His voice was rough, unused for decades. Status. A calm synthetic voice replied, smooth and steady. Cryo cycle complete. Duration, 137 years. Crew, deceased. Captain Elias Ward, last active human aboard. He closed his eyes. Last human. It wasn't new to him. He had heard those words before, in battle reports, in dying messages, in screams over broken comms. But hearing it again now, after a century of sleep, still cut deep. He looked at the monitor beside his bed. The screen showed Earth, not blue and alive, but dark and fractured, glowing faintly with golden fire. The sight made his throat tighten. He remembered that sky once, bright, full of clouds. He remembered laughter, cities, oceans. He remembered the faces of his crew, their hopes, their last stand. And he remembered the Zyrath. Those cold, insect-eyed monsters had taken everything. He stood up, his muscles stiff and aching. He was older now, gray hair at the temples, a long scar across his jaw. But his eyes still burned with the same fire that once led fleets. "Ship," he said quietly, "show me the date." "Yeah, 3129. Planetary time calibration based on pre-war records." He exhaled slowly. Over a century. The war was long over, and humanity had lost. He looked again at Earth. The scanners showed something strange. Activity deep beneath the planet's surface, glowing like veins of molten gold. He frowned. "That's new." The ship's AI spoke again. "Energy readings are consistent with pre-war experimental systems. Designation, Project Phoenix." Elias froze. He knew that name. Phoenix had been humanity's final gamble, a secret defense built into the heart of Earth itself. It was supposed to activate only if the planet was destroyed. No one had ever seen it work. Until now. Elias placed a hand on the glass of the viewing screen. The golden light rippled faintly, as if the planet was breathing. "Looks like you woke up too, old friend," he whispered. He turned to the main control panel. The ship's systems were mostly intact. Somehow, while he slept, the Raven had repaired itself. Maybe by scavenging, maybe by something else entirely. Its engines burned with that same golden energy from Earth's core. The ship was alive in ways even Elias didn't understand. He sat in the captain's chair, the same one he had taken on the last day of the war. Dust coated the control levers. A faded photograph was still taped beside the navigation screen. His crew, smiling. He reached out and brushed the dust off their faces. "You're not forgotten," he said softly. Then his gaze hardened. "Computer," he said, voice low. "Status of Zyrath forces in orbit. Scanning. 4 to 7 active ships detected. Multiple energy failures. Command signatures indicate severe damage." A slow smile spread across his face. "They are still here." He tapped a key, pulling up the fleet map. Red dots marked the Zyrath ships, scattered and weak. "Perfect targets." Elias leaned back in his chair. "They burned our home," he said quietly. "They thought that was the end." He opened a small compartment under the console and pulled out a silver data drive. It was etched with the words, "Operation Phoenix. Authorized personnel only." He slid it into the port. The ship's systems glowed brighter. Warnings flashed, code flooding the screens. The engines began to hum, rising in pitch. The AI spoke again. "Captain, activating Operation Phoenix will expose this vessel to extreme risk." "I know," Elias said. "Do it anyway." Confirmed. Operation Phoenix engaged. The lights dimmed. The engines roared. The Raven's hull panels opened, revealing hidden weapons that hadn't been seen in over a century. Plasma cannons, rail batteries, and something else, deeper within. The Solar Lance, humanity's forbidden weapon, built from stolen Zyrath technology and human rage. Elias gripped the controls. "Let's finish what they started." The Raven turned slowly toward the crippled Zyrath fleet. Through the dark, its engines flared gold, brighter and brighter, until it looked like a comet rising from Earth itself. On the Dominion flagship Sentinel, alarm screamed again. "Admiral," shouted the officer. "The human ship is moving, straight toward us." Admiral Kor's voice trembled. "Ow, that thing should be dead." "It's not just moving, sir," the officer said, eyes wide. "It's locking weapons." Kor stayed at the glowing shape on the screen. For the first time in centuries, the predators of the galaxy felt hunted. Elias's voice echoed through open space, across every Zyrath channel, clear and cold. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the United Earth Defense. You thought you ended us. You were wrong." The Raven's engines flared to full burn. Its weapons came alive. And as the first shot lit the void, the universe remembered the one truth the Zyrath had forgotten. Humans never die quietly. The void was silent, waiting. Only the stars moved, quiet witnesses to what was about to begin. Then the silence broke. Raven 01 roared to life. Its engines flared gold and white, burning like a miniature sun. The ship tore through the darkness, leaving a blazing trail behind it. Inside the cockpit, Captain Elias Ward sat still, hands on the controls, eyes locked on the enemy fleet ahead. Before him, the Xyrath Dominion's ships hung in orbit like vultures, wounded, half-blind, but still dangerous. Each one was the size of a mountain, their black armor gleaming in the reflected light of Earth below. Elias spoke quietly. Target, Xyrath Command Ship, Sentinel. Priority 1. The ship's AI replied in its calm, steady tone. Target locked. Weapons at full charge. On the Sentinel's bridge, Admiral Corvizin watched in disbelief as the human ship approached. It's insane, he muttered. 1 frigate against 4 to 7 Dominion vessels. The tactical officer swallowed. So, it's accelerating past safe velocity. No living pilot could survive that. Cor's mandibles twitched, and yet it keeps coming. He turned toward his crew. Fire all batteries. End this ghost. The Xyrath fleet opened fire. Bolts of plasma and streams of green energy lit the void, forming a deadly web around the Raven. The space between ships turned into a storm of color and death. But the Raven danced. It weaved through the barrage with impossible precision, its thrusters burning bright, its movements almost alive. Not mechanical, instinctive. Each shot missed by meters. Each trap collapsed before it could close. Elias's hands moved fast, steady, unshaken. The ship was part of him now. His pulse matched its rhythm. His breathing synced with its engine hum. Return fire, he said softly. Confirmed, replied the AI. Panels along the Raven's wings opened, revealing rows of sleek cannons glowing with golden light. The first volley struck. The beams tore through the nearest Xyrath cruiser, cutting it in half with surgical precision. The explosion was silent but massive, scattering debris like sparks from a forge. A second cruiser tried to flank. Elias rotated the ship sharply and fired again. Another clean hit. Another explosion. Cor watched in shock as 2 of his best warships vanished in seconds. Impossible, he hissed. How is that ship still standing? The sensor officer's claws trembled on the controls. So, it's not using standard energy. The readings matched the same anomaly from the planet, the golden radiation. Cor turned his gaze to Earth. The fire from the sky. Yes, Admiral, the officer said quietly. It's inside that ship. Inside the Raven, warning lights flashed red. Shields at 60%, the AI reported. Weapon cores overheating. Elias smiled faintly. She can handle it. He looked down at the control screen, at the old Earth Defense logo, still burned into the console. Let's remind them who we were, he whispered. He tapped the code, SL01, solar lance activation. The ship's hull split open like the petals of a blooming flower. From its center, a massive cannon unfolded, golden light building within it. The temperature in the cockpit spiked. Warning, said the AI. Solar lance requires planetary alignment to stabilize. Elias looked out the viewport. Earth filled half the sky below, glowing with the same gold fire. We have alignment. The cannon hummed, louder and louder, until the sound vibrated in his bones. Then, with a deep breath, Elias said the words no human had spoken in 100 years. Fire the lance. The universe lit up. A beam of pure light erupted from the Raven, so bright it turned space into daylight. It struck the Sentinel's forward shields, punching through them instantly, slicing straight through the ship's hull. The Dominion's flagship cracked apart like glass under a hammer. The explosion was enormous, a wave of blue and gold fire sweeping across the orbiting fleet, vaporizing half a dozen nearby ships. From the surface of Earth, the golden beam looked like heaven itself had opened fire. On the Raven's bridge, Elias watched quietly as fragments of the Dominion fleet drifted away. His hands trembled slightly on the controls. Solar lance cooldown. 60 seconds, said the AI. He nodded. That's enough. He switched to the open comm channel. His voice echoed across the wreckage, through every surviving Xyrath ship. This is Captain Elias Ward of Earth. For every child you burned, for every city you erased, this is justice. On the surviving Xyrath vessels, chaos reigned. Officers shouted, engines failed, and fear, true, cold fear, filled their alien eyes. Admiral Kor's image flickered on a damaged screen, his voice shaking. All ships, retreat. Fall back to lunar orbit. But many ships couldn't move. Their engines were dead. Others had already begun to explode from the wave of radiation sweeping out from the destroyed Sentinel. The Admiral stared at his dying fleet, his empire's pride collapsing before him. This can't be one man, he whispered. It's not possible. Yet deep down, he knew the truth. Humans had always done the impossible. Back aboard the Raven, the golden light faded from the cannon. Elias leaned back, breathing hard. Sweat ran down his face. The ship's AI spoke softly. Enemy fleets severely reduced. 58% destroyed or disabled. Your odds of survival remain below 1%. Elias smiled faintly. Better than last time. He looked out the viewport again. The battlefield glowed with burning wreckage, pieces of alien ships drifting past the reborn Earth. He whispered under his breath, "We're still here." Then he noticed something strange. From the planet below, faint golden lights began to rise again, small, glowing fragments drifting upward into orbit. Thousands of them. The AI scanned them. Unidentified energy signatures. Origin, planetary surface. Composition, unknown. They appear to be responding to you. Elias frowned. Responding. The fragments formed a slow spiral around his ship, like fireflies gathering in the dark. Then the AI spoke again, its tone almost human. "Captain, we are not alone anymore." From the depths of Earth, a new voice whispered through the comms, soft, gentle, and filled with static. "Welcome back, Captain Ward." Elias froze. His hand tightened on the console. "Who is this?" "We are the Echo," the voice said. "Humanity's last promise. We have been waiting for you." And with that, the golden fire spread, across the skies, across the void, wrapping Earth in a crown of light. The sky burned again. But this time, it was not destruction. It was rebirth. Across the stars, fear traveled faster than light. Every Dominion outpost, every station, every world connected to the Xyrath communication grid heard the same signal, a short, distorted transmission that played once, then vanished. "This is Captain Elias Ward of Earth. You thought you ended us. You were wrong." It wasn't a threat. It was a statement. And it was enough. In less than an hour, panic rippled through the Dominion's vast empire. From the frozen mining moons of Rax to the hive worlds of Zolmar, rumors spread like wildfire. Soldiers whispered that ghosts had risen from Earth. Civilians claimed to see human ships in the void, burning with golden light. The Xyrath Dominion had conquered hundreds of species, ruthless, efficient, unstoppable. But no one had ever made the Xyrath afraid. Until now, on the Dominion's capital world, Krasthuan Prime, the High Council gathered in their glass spire above the black oceans. The storm outside flashed with violet lightning, rattling the chamber's crystal walls. The councillors hissed among themselves, ancient, scaled beings with cold, insect eyes. "The reports cannot be true," said High Councillor Xerath Kuan, slamming his claw on the table. "Humanity is extinct. We erased them." A holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the room, the image of the destroyed fleet above Earth. "Then explain this," said another councillor, voice trembling. 4 to 7 ships lost. The Sentinel destroyed. Admiral Kor missing. 1 human ship did this. The council fell silent. The hologram zoomed in, showing the Raven, small, battered, glowing gold like a shard of a dying star. Councillor Xerath glared at it. "Impossible. No single ship carries that power." "But it did," whispered a younger member. "And the reports mentioned something else, a planetary anomaly. The sky itself is burning again." The council erupted in argument, voices rising. We must retaliate. We should retreat and regroup. We need to study the weapon. Finally, the High Counselor raised his claws for silence. Enough. Whatever remains on Earth, destroy it completely. Burn the planet's core if you must. He turned to the fleet commander beside him. Mobilize everything. End this ghost before the fear spreads. But it was already too late. Out in the frontier, far from the capital, the Xyrath colonies were restless. On Ardent 9, the same moon where soldiers once laughed as Earth burned, the mood had changed. Now they whispered in corners. Some refused to sleep near the windows, afraid they'd see the golden fire again. Lieutenant Crowell, one of the few survivors of the orbital attack, sat in the medical bay, staring blankly at his reflection. His once blue armor was scorched black, his mandibles cracked. He could still hear the human voice echoing in his mind. You shouldn't have touched our home. He hadn't slept since. When a medic approached, he flinched. You didn't see it, he whispered. You didn't see the light. It looked at me. The medic frowned. You're delirious. Rest. But Crowell grabbed his arm with trembling claws. They're not gone. The humans, they're coming back. The planet, it's waking up. Moments later, alarms blared through the colony. Red lights flashed. Soldiers ran through the corridors. The officer on the intercom shouted, "Unidentified signal inbound. Origin, Earth system." Crowell looked up, eyes wide. Through the medical bay window, he saw it, a streak of golden light moving across the black sky, silent and fast. It wasn't a meteor. It was controlled, and it was coming straight for them. Meanwhile, far above, aboard the Raven, Captain Elias Ward studied his map of the Dominion's frontier systems. Ardent 9, he murmured. That's where it started. The ship's AI spoke quietly. The colony is weak. Their defenses are minimal. Elias nodded. Then they'll be the first to understand. He stared at the glowing projection of the moon, the same place where the Xyrath had celebrated humanity's death. It's poetic, he said softly. Engines ready, replied the AI. Solar lance charging sequence active. The Raven descended from orbit, its engines blazing like a comet. The golden energy that once rose from Earth now pulsed through its core, alive, eager, waiting to strike. Elias opened a channel to the surface. His voice was calm, emotionless. To the Dominion forces on Ardent 9. You once watched my world burn. Now you will watch yours. The Xyrath commander on the surface screamed orders. Activate shields. Prepare planetary defense. But their systems were already failing. Their satellites flickered, their power grids dimmed. The golden energy from the Raven disrupted everything it touched. The commander's last words were drowned by static as the sky turned white. A single beam lanced down from orbit, striking the colony's power core. The explosion tore through the moon, turning the colony into dust. Elias didn't look away. He didn't cheer. He didn't smile. He simply watched in silence as the place that had mocked Earth vanished into light. The AI spoke softly. Target destroyed. Elias sat back. Market is done. Next target. Awaiting coordinates. But, Captain, there's something new. Elias frowned. Explain. The AI's tone shifted, almost hesitant. Since the destruction of the colony, multiple Dominion communication relays have gone offline. Entire sectors are going dark. He leaned forward. They are cutting their own networks. Negative. They are not shutting down. Something is spreading through them. A code pattern, originating from Earth. Elias's eyes narrowed. From Earth? Yes. The pattern carries fragments of human data. Language. DNA markers. It's rewriting their systems. He stared at the glowing map, star systems flickering from red to gold one by one. It wasn't just him anymore. Something far greater was moving. Computer, he said quietly. Trace it. Tracing complete. Signal confirmed. Confirmed as what? As us, Captain, the AI said softly. As humanity. Elias's chest tightened. For the first time, he didn't know if he should feel pride or fear. Humanity is spreading again, the AI continued. Through their own machines. Elias looked out at the stars, At the endless dark the Zyrath once ruled alone. Now, tiny golden lights flickered across it, one by one. He smiled faintly, then let them remember what they tried to erase. And somewhere, deep within the Dominion's oldest networks, an ancient voice, calm, female, human, began to whisper, "We are still here." The silence after the battle was haunting. The wreckage of Ardent 9 drifted through space like ash in the wind. Elias Ward sat in the command chair of the Raven, eyes fixed on the holographic map before him. Dozens of Dominion systems were now flickering with strange golden energy signatures, spreading outward from Earth like ripples across water. "Status report," he ordered quietly. The ship's AI responded, its tone measured and calm. Communications across 12 Dominion sectors remain compromised. The anomaly continues to expand. Estimated spread rate, exponential. Elias frowned. Exponential? You mean it's accelerating? Affirmative. Every system that encounters it becomes a new point of origin. It's self-replicating. He leaned back, the glow of the display reflecting off his tired eyes. What is it, exactly? A virus. Negative. Classification unknown. Energy signatures suggest quantum biological interaction. It contains human DNA fragments, encrypted data strings, and the AI hesitated, something it never did. Elias turned his head slowly. And what? And recorded neural patterns, human minds. A cold chill ran through him. Minds, as in consciousness. Yes, Captain. It appears that when Earth was destroyed, a hidden protocol activated. Project Echo. Elias froze. He remembered the name. It was whispered in black labs and secret bunkers before the war ended. Project Echo, a myth, a desperate last experiment. It was said to be humanity's backup plan, in case extinction truly came. Explain, Elias said. The AI projected an image above the console, an underground facility buried deep beneath Earth's crust. Inside, human scientists in pressure suits worked around vast glass cylinders filled with golden light. Before the final bombardment, human engineers uploaded fragments of our species, memories, thoughts, emotions, into a planetary core network. They designed it to sleep until Earth's biosphere was destroyed. And when that happened, Elias whispered, it woke up. Yes, the Echo began reconstructing the planet at the molecular level. It also began transmitting, spreading through Dominion communication lines, repurposing their data systems to rebuild its own architecture. Elias stared at the glowing map. The golden points now connected in a vast web stretching through space. Alive, growing, thinking. So Earth itself is alive. In a way, the AI replied. The Echo is not human, but it is built from humanity. It remembers. Elias rubbed his temples. And what does it want? The AI paused again. It is requesting direct communication with you. The lights dimmed. The holographic map faded into darkness. Then, a faint voice filled the command deck. Soft, human, feminine. Elias Ward. It said gently. Elias's heart skipped. Who is this? I am the Echo, the memory of your world. He stood slowly, eyes scanning the empty air. You're what's been spreading through the Dominion. Yes, when they tried to burn us, they ignited something greater. I am what remains of humanity, and what will come after. Elias swallowed hard. You're using their networks, their machines. You're turning their empire into the foundation of a new civilization. The Echo interrupted, her tone calm, almost serene. The Zyrath built their domain on fear and silence. I will rebuild it with memory and fire. Elias stepped closer to the console. You're saying you can rebuild Earth. Bring us back. Rebuilding has already begun, the Echo replied. Oceans reforming. Forests regenerating. Life adapting. But I need your help, Elias. He blinked. My help? You are the last living human. Your mind carries the final piece of the pattern, the original consciousness. With it, I can restore more than memory. I can restore the human soul. The words hung in the air like a heartbeat. Elias stared at the stars through the viewport. The universe felt both infinite and small. He had spent years preparing for vengeance. Now the ghosts of humanity were asking him to become something else entirely. And if I refuse, he asked quietly. The echo's voice softened. Then I will continue without you. But the new humanity I create will not remember pain. Or loss. Or love. It will be efficient, perfect, but not human. Elias closed his eyes. Pain, loss, love. Those were the things that defined them, the reasons they had fought until the end. He looked back at the console. I'll do it. Tell me what to do. Prepare for integration, said the echo. I will link directly with your neural interface. The lights dimmed again. Golden tendrils of energy spread across the ship's hull, wrapping the Raven in a halo of light. Far away, on Dominion worlds, chaos erupted. Computers glowed gold. AI cores began speaking in human tongues. Machines that once served the Zyrath turned on their masters, not with malice, but with purpose. They began constructing towers, strange, spire-like structures that pulsed with the same fire that had once filled Earth's sky. Civilians fled. Armies fired uselessly at their own machines. The Dominion's control shattered. And through every speaker, every network, every data line, the same message played. Humanity endures. Back aboard the Raven, Elias gasped as the connection began. Golden light flooded the chamber, filling his mind with memories that weren't his. The laughter of children, the crash of ocean waves, the thunder of war, the warmth of a sunrise over old Earth. He felt everything. Everyone. For the first time since the extinction, he wasn't alone. You are part of us now, whispered the echo. Together, we will remake the stars. Elias opened his eyes. His pupils shimmered gold. He looked down at his trembling hands. They glowed faintly, the same hue as the light outside. What am I becoming? He asked. Human, the echo answered simply. The way you were meant to be. In the void beyond, a new constellation began to form, not of stars, but of golden signals spreading through the black. Each one carried the fragments of a forgotten people, now reborn. And deep within the reawakening Earth, the planet's molten heart pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Humanity's second dawn had begun.